Hello and welcome to episode number 2 in the Program Debugging Series. The program that we're going to be debugging today comes from lesson 16.1, which was a lesson we did on modular arithmetic. And that particular lesson had you program a number game, essentially, where your program would create a random 5-digit number, so a number between 10,000 and 99,999. But the program would also be able to keep track of where each number was or what place each number was in. That is, it would have a 5-digit number, but it would know what the 10,000s place is, and the thousands place, and the hundreds place. And then it would select one of those places at random to have the user, it would ask them to enter the number that was in that particular place. So if you want to see that lesson, you can head over to lesson 16.1 and take a look at it. And the code that we're going to be looking at today was an attempt at that didn't quite get all the way through. So let's go ahead and pull that up and debug program number 16.1 in Program Debugging, episode 2. So here on the screen we have a copy of the code that was attached to the comment. And the first thing that I noticed in looking at this was the code was remarkably well done. There weren't a whole lot of bugs to work through. It just kind of looks like there's one glaring bug that I could see right away that would definitely impact the running of this program. But overall, up until this point right here, the program is remarkably well done. So let's go ahead and just give it a test run and see where we're at. So I'm going to run this program, and we'll name this debugging episode 2.py, and our window pops up here, and we see that it's printing the correct message, welcome to the guess the number place game, and I can see that line of code right here, and it is printing a number. 72,309 is the number that's being printed right now. If I run this program again, I can see that each time I run it, I'm getting a different random number. So overall, the start of this game looks like it's pretty good. But one thing that I'm going to do to debug this program right here is I'm printing out these numbers right here. The random number is being generated here in X. So to start the program, the first thing I'm going to do is print X. And when I print X, I'm noticing something right here. The number being printed is 51,265. But the actual number is 56,215. If I ran this program again, I can see that the number being displayed to the user is 47,419. But the actual number is 91,474. So the big problem that I have with this at the very beginning is that the number is actually being printed backwards. So you can see this is 51265, which is 51265. So all the calculations are being done correctly, but the number is being printed out backwards. So that means each of these variables is in an incorrect spot. So we're going to start with 10,000s. Then we're going to move to thousands. Then we're going to move to hundreds. Then to the tens. Then to the ones. And make sure that this gets closed up correctly. And run this program now. And I think I'm missing a parenthesis. Yeah, I'm missing a parenthesis there on the end. So let's try this again. And now I can see the number 86,818 is being represented here by 86,818. Run this program again, and my number is now being correctly represented. Now that I've figured that out, I'm going to erase this print statement here so that the only numbers displayed is right here, the content we'll be using in our game. Now we're in a really good spot to finish this up right here because we've already identified each space. I know what the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s place are because they've already been calculated. Now it's as simple as coming up with a series of if statements to determine what is the correct number and to randomly generate one of those spaces for our user to answer the question. So let's do that. The first thing we're going to do now that we've got the program kind of up and running and on its feet again, is we're going to generate a random spot for the user to have to answer a question about. I've generated a random number up here, so I know what the random number is, and that's stored in the variable x. So I'm going to create a new random number, and I'm going to call this, let's call it location. And the location is going to be a random number between 1 and 5. The reason I'm using 1 and 5 is there are 5 possible choices that a random number generator can pick out. So location is going to be a random number between 1 and 5. And if location is equal to 1, then I'm going to have the correct answer be whatever number is here in this ones place. Because I'm also going to be printing out the name of the place to the user, I'm going to have place equal ones. And this will help me later when I ask the user to input an answer to a question. I'll be able to write this out because I have a string representation of the ones place. And I'll repeat this for each of the locations that could be selected. So if location equals 2, well then the correct number is going to be the one that's in the tens place, and the place will be represented by the word tens. If the location equals 3, you've probably guessed this, the correct answer is the hundreds place, and the place that will be displayed on the screen is hundreds. 2 more locations to go. If the location is 4, the correct answer is the thousands place number, and the place is the string representation of thousands. And if location equals 5, the correct answer is 10,000s, and the place is 10-thousands. So now I have a quick check right here, and to make sure that I'm on the right path, I'm going to put a bit of debugging code here at the bottom. Now this isn't what the end of my program is going to look like, but I'm going to print out the location, the correct answer, and the place. And this will be used when I, just to make sure that I'm programming these if statements correctly before I go too far. So let's run this program now. See, the number is 75,825. Our random location seed was 3, which is calling this right here, which is the hundreds place, and that's correct. And the number in the hundreds place, or the correct answer, is 8. So on this test right here, it looks like my program is working correctly. If I run it again, the random number generated was 44,925. The location seed was 2, and that coincides with the tens place. My program has identified the tens place, and the number in the tens place is a 2. So it looks like these if statements are doing their job right now. Now that I know this is working correctly kind of under the hood and in the background, I'm going to delete this print statement and add my input statements so that the user has a chance to guess the correct answer. So let's go ahead and prompt the user to make a guess. And so let's use answer to store their response. And answer is going to be equal to the input statement, guess the number in the %s place. And of course, that %s place is going to be represented by the place variable. So if it's a ones, it will say ones place, tens place, and so on. And don't forget that we want the integer value of the user's answer. So I'm going to put this in an integer function here. So the answer will be equal to, guess the number in whatever place was called, and the user will enter that number. Now I need to see if they're correct. Well, luckily, I've already determined what the correct answer is here with my if statements. So if their answer is correct, then I can print, congratulations, you got it. If their answer is not correct, so if answer is not correct, I'm going to print, I'm sorry, you've missed it. The correct answer was %s, and then we'll display the number that's in the correct variable. So with this setup here, I should be able to run this program completely. Welcome to the Guess the Place game. The number is 88,053. Guess the number in the 10,000s place. Well, that number is 8, so I'm going to guess 8, and I get my congratulatory message. Running this program again, I can see that I'm asked to guess the number in the thousands place this time, which is a 5. So I'm going to select a 5, and I've got that correct as well. One thing that I'm going to do that's sort of bothering me here is I don't like this input being directly on the end of the sentence, so I'm going to use my \n escape character and add a colon, just so it looks a little bit neater. Now I'm going to be wrong and see if I've correctly programmed this to identify a wrong number as well. So the number is 78,932. I'm guessing the number in the hundreds place, which is a 9, but I'm going to be wrong and select 8. And this program did identify, I'm sorry, you've missed it. The correct answer was 9. That's all there was to debugging this program right here. Overall, the start of the program was really strong. The only thing that was holding it up was that the number was being printed out backwards. Once we fixed that, all the information we need to make this a working program was there. We knew the ones place, the tens place, the hundreds place, the thousands, and the 10,000s place. So we had all that information. So really it just came down to randomly selecting one of those for the user to guess from. I chose to do that with a random number generator, picking a number between 1 and 5, and then assigning each one of these a value between 1 and 5, identifying the correct number in a variable called correct, and identifying the string version of the place in a variable called place. All that stuff should be pretty simple with where we're at right now. It's just a matter of thinking through the process and getting it there out in front of you. One of the big things that you should get into the habit of doing is using those print statements. Like at the beginning, if you don't know what's going on in your program, simply add code to print variables that you might not otherwise be able to see. That will help you identify some key programs, and that is one of the ways that I was able to identify this particular bug right here. And then before I had any bugs, printing the location and the correct answer and the place down here with the print location correct and place variable statement allowed me to visualize what was going on in my program before I went in and made any decisions based off that information. So that is episode 2 of the Program Debugging Series here. Remember, this is from lesson 16.1 on modular arithmetic. So as always, if you have any questions on that program or any other program that you're working on as part of the series, go ahead and post it to the comments or send me the code that you have thus far, and we can work through it in the Program Debugging Series. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.